What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ryan, and welcome to the Nootropics 20. What is the Nootropics 20? It is a new video series that I'm just sort of super excited to do, that I kind of wanted to do to change things up, where we talk about a litany of things around nootropics and biohacking, all the stuff that's on the Nootropics subreddit, questions asked on forums, questions asked emailed to me, that we can synthesize point by point in a 20-minute period. I figured, rather than having us crank out like 10 videos over the course of a week, which I know you guys love it and love seeing the notifications, that sometimes, throughout the week, maybe we'll just concentrate a lot of it into one major video called the Nootropics 20. So without further ado, we are getting into the Nootropics 20, where we're going to talk about biohacking nootropics for 20 straight minutes. So before we get into it, I've got a lot of really, really cool, epic biohacking nootropic stuff to talk about that I put together that I think is going to be really valuable for you guys to stick around. Sponsors. What sponsors this program and makes all of our content possible are a couple nootropic and biohacking products. Number one, the Cortex Nootropic Stack. That's our pre-made stack. I mean, look, I took it this morning to do this, and to write it and to do it. It's just verbal fluency, brain fluidity, motivation, mental energy. If you want something that turns the brain on, buy Cortex, livecortex.com right now. The Nootropics Masterclass is a video course that we launched that teaches you how to use nootropics at the masterclass at a really, really high level. It's high level concepts and high level stacks. But if you want to take your nootropics game to the next level, you got to get it. Do that at livecortex.com. If you're a man and need to boost your testosterone, we have a testosterone raising protocol. We're actually going to talk about one of the things in it today. Look, man, boosting Leydig cell function, increasing enzymes that produce testosterone, working on every other pathway to produce test. We've got a protocol for it. It's called Viking Testosterone Protocol. Last thing, if you need my help on formulating stacks, we have Nootropics Consulting, one of the most effective services we've ever put out. We help people figure out stacks that work well for them relatively quickly. Get all of that stuff at livecortex.com and more. All right, so starting right from the top here, I came across an article that said that whole coffee fruit concentrate powder has the ability to increase brain-derived neurotrophic factor by 31% at 100 milligrams a day. So what is brain-derived neurotrophic factor? Basically a reparative protein that allows your brain to function a lot better. It just sort of goes and scavenges whatever damage it can find and then works on repairing it. There are some nootropics that increase BDNF expression. They are Noopept, Alcar, and then Lion's Mane over the course of like a month continuously taking it. But, who the hell would have known that whole coffee freaking fruit extract powder increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor? The percentage again was 31%. And folks took it in this study. I'll put the study in front of you here at 100 milligrams, okay? So if you're interested in increasing BDNF, which is something I think all of us should do, it's one of the ways probably to stave off neurodegeneration, but to just sort of generally have your brain functioning really good now, then maybe go get some whole coffee fruit concentrate powder and start taking it. I don't really see an issue with taking that daily. None of its constituents are harmful in any way. It's obviously only really doing super cool things. So I thought that was really cool. Wanted to share that with you guys. Next major thing is I was browsing the Nootropic subreddit, and was it the Nootropic subreddit? Could have been one of the Facebook forums. And somebody asked a question about Go-To Cola, and if it was safe to take more than once a day. Because this person said it helps with their anxiety. So the thing about Go-To Cola is that it also releases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and just like Bacopa, it facilitates axon and dendrite growth. So it's like a really cool sort of over time brain maintenance thing to be taking. So Go-To Cola and things like like ginseng or something are compounds that just don't do major neurotransmitter modification. They're sort of doing other things in the background, and they're safe to take, man. I mean, they're basically like supplements. It's I wouldn't call it being akin to like a B vitamin or something like that, but it's pretty close, harmless, innocuous, and obviously helpful in that it's facilitating axon growth and then increasing BDNF. It's sort of like Bacopa in that regard. So my answer to that question is, yeah, man, I mean, if you want sort of a maintenance thing to help BDNF an axon growth, and if it helps you to stay calm and has an anxiolytic effect, then I don't see a problem with taking GoTo Cola more than once a day, so long as your doses are moderate. Moving on. So this we did a podcast about yesterday. It's episode 117 on the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast. It was about, and we also, I think, put this on the YouTube channel. It was about nootropics being placebo. So basically, let me just break this down. A guy on a Facebook forum named Anthony, said basically, the more I see discussion about racetams, the more I think the whole thing is snake oil or placebo. He goes on to basically say he's never tried it and kind of wanted everyone else in the nootropics forum to convince him that this stuff was real. Obviously, you guys know that I'll have a problem with that. A lot of you probably have a sort of a defensive reaction to that because we've been taking nootropics for many years, all of us. We understand that they acutely affect us in a way that facilitates performance. And here we have a guy who hasn't even tried nootropics yet. Guy, you haven't tried racetams, and you have a contention that they could be snake oil. I mean, a lot of the people that are saying that are from the outside, right? They haven't been dosing racetams. They haven't really been doing the research. Frankly, I think a lot of them don't really even understand the neurochemistry. I actually had a conversation with a nurse who was very, very skeptical on nootropics. She was she was an ER nurse. So she's very versed in the medical establishment and physiology in particular things, testing, doing blood work, diagnosing certain things, calling the doctor and having him come in and give his or her advanced opinion. But just because somebody's a nurse, it doesn't mean they know everything. I asked her about, whether or not she understands nootropics and their neurological effects and kind of what they're doing to neurotransmitters, and she said no. And the first thing she said was, are there any studies behind it? And there's plenty of studies on Aniracetam and oxiracetam. There's studies on Aniracetam with humans. There's studies on piracetam and choline source, I believe, alpha GPC in humans. Studies on modafinil in humans. I mean, they're sort of all over the place. So what you have here is somebody that, obviously hasn't tried any nootropics or racetams for that matter, and just sort of looks from the outside and has a negative opinion about it, right? It's just I need to see some sort of published science before. And the interesting thing about nootropics is it's just, we all in this biohacking world and nootropics enthusiasts kind of realm, we don't wait for that sort of stuff. First of all, it does exist for a lot of nootropics study-wise. But, the whole idea of nootropics is experimenting, learning what they're doing to your brain, figuring out how they help you, and then sort of developing your own understanding of what they're doing. Right now in pharma land, nootropics may not be a huge focus for these people, right? They're focusing on drugs that are going to alleviate symptoms. That's essentially it, right? Not things that are curing things, not compounds that might be aiding in your functioning to some degree where you're getting a performance benefit. I mean, a lot of the drugs are essentially aimed to take away a performance deficit or to take away some sort of issue like depression or anxiety or whatever. And we all know how those things are. It typically just doesn't end up working out really great for people. The other thing I can say is, look, I mean, you have to look with nootropics, especially racetams, that they are making very particular changes to neurochemistry, very documented changes to neurochemistry. In the case of Aniracetam, releasing extra acetylcholine from the hippocampus, it's going to help your memory function better. And then exciting glutamate receptor, the AMPA receptor, and therefore stimulating motivation and stimulating working memory. So, I mean, this is very, very clear stuff that's happening here that should have subsequent accompanying effects on brain function. So I just wanted to talk about that in case anyone saw it was is it snake oil or placebo or something? I think a lot of folks from the outside look at nootropics and think that, and it's just because, frankly, they're uninformed. I came across a question that said, what is your favorite stack when you are unmotivated and tired? That's actually a really great question, because if I don't sleep well, and I don't know, maybe there's some drama or problems in my life or something going on where, I kind of just, I'm because if you're a sensitive person to energy, like I think that I am, things get to you, right? And so they can put you in an unmotivated state, even if you slept 100 hours and whatever, you feel great. you can still be unmotivated to do stuff. And, for whatever reason it happens, my stack lately in that situation has been 100 milligrams of modafinil, 500 milligrams of oxiracetam, 100 milligrams of alpha GPC, and 200 milligrams of theanine. I don't know, for whatever reason, it's just like cranking up dopamine. It's getting my brain a lot more fluid, releasing a little more acetylcholine, and then having just sort of a calming background agent in there with the Tranquility Nootropic theanine. It just sets my brain up for really good balance for me to start getting motivated again. Who the hell knows? In those situations, I don't know, I might not be producing enough dopamine. And then modafinil is helping that to stick and happen. So that's what I would say about that. That's my favorite stack for being unmotivated and tired. Next question comes in from a guy who's thinking about doing the Viking testosterone protocol, but heard about infrared red light therapy on testosterone and sperm mobility, and kind of, read around a little bit, but wanted to hear sort of my take on what exactly it's doing and if it's worth doing it. So basically what this person is asking is it worth shining an infrared red light on your junk, for 10 minutes a night, 5 days a week or something to increase testosterone? My answer to that question is it is definitely worth it. Basically what you're looking at is, what infrared red light is doing is it's enhancing ATP in mitochondria. So it's increasing energy availability in the mitochondria of the cell. What's particularly important about that as it relates to testosterone is that it's increasing energy availability and fostering ATP production in Leydig cells. Leydig cells are in the testes, and they are predominantly responsible for producing testosterone. It's pretty similar to sunlight, because in sunlight, you're getting the same thing. If you're out in the sun, like, you ever notice, like, going out in the sun for a long time, you might have like a lot of sex drive. And that's because, you're getting a ton of vitamin D, and you're getting that light that's penetrating the cells, increasing ATP in the mitochondria, therefore energy production. And in particular, as it relates to testosterone, that light is penetrating into the Leydig cells, and those Leydig cells are enhancing, and therefore they are producing testosterone. So yeah, this stuff is awesome. I shine it on my stuff 5 nights a week for 10 minutes a night. That's my protocol right now on red light therapy. It's useful for a lot of things. You can shine it on your back if you've got back pain, and to sort of help foster cellular function and some degree of repair of whatever's wrong. There's some studies on it about arthritis, shining it on your hands if you've got some degree of arthritis, and that reducing pain measurably. Infrared red light therapy is this crazy thing that now you can buy a light on Amazon and put it in a freaking snake lamp and get the benefit from it. Whereas it used to be like this fringe thing that you could only get at a specialist doctor lab, that would essentially run you through red light treatment. And now it's available to everybody, which I think is a really super awesome thing. So yes, men, not only does it increase your testosterone, but it increases sperm mobility. Sperm's ability to be mobile. In this case, you would really only want mobile sperm for one reason, and that's to get your wife or girlfriend pregnant, so that your sperm, through that very rigorous process of trying to reach where it needs to reach, and God, the odds are like so against it, actually end up reaching it. The higher the sperm mobility, the better chances you have of that happening. So yes, infrared red light therapy, super awesome. One of the best biohacks I discovered over the last couple years. Yeah, the stuff is just awesome. Next major point was a question: how much theacrine? I think it's actually a pretty relevant question for folks. Is in 1/8 of a teaspoon. So I guess this person isn't really into the idea of weighing things out. And look, you can get to the place where you've weighed a lot of stuff out, and you kind of understand what measurements on a teaspoon or something will be equivalent to what milligram quantity on a scale. And that comes with a lot of experience. It comes with you being on a scale a lot, putting powders on a scale a lot, and kind of getting an eyeball idea of exactly what is doing what, how much quantity of a particular chemical can be like on 1/8 of a teaspoon. In my opinion, just kind of thinking about my experience eyeballing all this stuff, you're probably looking at like 30 to 50 milligrams. If you take a teaspoon and you put an eighth of a powder on it, you're looking at like 30 to 50 milligrams. Now, some powders are heavier than other powders, and theacrine's a little heavier than other powders, but I don't think that changes very much in terms of, that's why I'm kind of giving a range of 30 to 50 milligrams. Uridine monophosphate is a disodium salt, so that's a little heavier. Alcar is a little heavier than some other compounds, but generally with an eighth of a teaspoon, you're looking at 30 to 50 milligrams. I don't suggest when you're administering nootropics that this is the way that you go about it. Only if you've been doing it for long enough to really get an idea of with the milligram quantity of certain things to where you've got like an accurate eyeball prediction of what you're going to get. But yep, eighth a teaspoon is probably 30 to 50 milligrams of most powders, give or take maybe 10 to 15 milligrams. Again, you can't be super accurate with it, and that's kind of what I think. But, if you're on vacation or you're somewhere where, you can't weigh stuff out, which happens, I mean, that happens to me, then eyeballing is the best strategy. All right, so I want to move on to my experiments. This is the last part of the Nootropics 20, where we're going to talk about kind of what I've been doing. Some of this we briefly touched on in recent podcasts and videos, but a lot of the questions that come through are centered around what I'm doing, especially on the live streams. So I want to take this opportunity to just kind of give you guys what the heck I'm up to. I've been experimenting trying to figure out a dose of modafinil and bromontane that works really great for me. We did a video on this yesterday where we talked about a 75 milligram modafinil dose, a 20 milligram bromontane dose, and then a 200 milligram theanine dose, with some Aniracetam at 20 milligrams later at night to make sure that I sleep well. And in that situation, I've gotten rockin' brain performance, rockin' motivation. I felt super great throughout the day, but somewhere around 9, 10 o'clock, I was getting brain fog, and I couldn't figure out why. The video was actually filmed last week, so this week I did start again on that experiment. And my strategy was to add some CDP choline to the mix, because I was thinking, I'm creating, I don't want to call it an imbalance, but an excessive release of dopamine in this case, and then I'm cranking up wakefulness like hellishly, and I'm also giving myself some brain serotonin and GABA via the theanine. So, like in a lot of those situations, sometimes having another constituent in the stack that's building another neurotransmitter gives you a balanced neurotransmitter release, right? So you're not excessively releasing one neurotransmitter over the other, and if you run into problems, that's usually what that is. It's just sort of an imbalance in the release of neurotransmitters. That's why I always suggest taking a B complex and combined with krill oil when you're running into issues with racetams or anything cholinergic. You just need a little bit of extra neurotransmitter support to balance things out, not to the point where it's like now the effects are negligible, but where you've balanced it just enough, you have supporting cofactors in the stack, and the stack actually ends up, working better. So this was yesterday, 75 milligrams modafinil, 20 of bromontane, 200 theacrine, and then 150 milligrams of CDP choline. I took that all at once, and this was at noon. And don't you know that I did not get the brain fog later in the day? CDP choline has a very long half-life, so the cholinergic activity was going on for quite a long time, even though I took it at noon. That's kind of like modafinil has a super long half-life. It's staying in there a while, but CDP choline is longer. It's like 70-something hours, and the absorption rate of CDP choline, this is why it's such a powerful chemical, is almost absolute. It's like 98% or something. It's very, very absorbable and stays in your bloodstream. So I have actually found now a perfect combination of modafinil and bromontane. I've got to take theanine with it. I've got to take 150 milligrams CDP choline with it, but otherwise I'm rocking. I'm motivated throughout the day. I get a lot done. My to-do list is like double. My done list is double. In this experiment, I still took 20 milligrams of Aniracetam just for good measure to make sure that I slept well that night. And I totally did. I woke up this morning feeling like really good. I mean, I slept a little in, I guess, to like 9:30 or something, but I woke up feeling good, had some coffee, took the Cortex stack this morning, and now I'm just like totally on fire. Next thing, Rhodiola and Aniracetam together helps with negativity and happiness. So we talked about this before. I've got a client who is an entrepreneur, and that was based on the video that we did really recently, who is just building a startup company, got some venture capital money, and they're doing okay and they're growing. But with startups, you don't get results right away. You just sort of don't get results. It takes a long time. There's a lot of delaying gratification. So your ability to keep positive throughout that process is difficult, and you've got to really stay on it. So I suggested to this guy 750 milligrams Rhodiola, 750 milligrams Aniracetam, thinking it would calm him down and just like de-stress him a little bit with the Rhodiola, and then have an anxiolytic but then brain performance enhancing effect with the Aniracetam, and it totally works. And so I want to say that I've been doing the same thing. You know, I've been dosing 750 milligrams of Rhodiola with 750 of Aniracetam. I throw a little choline source in there. And I gotta say, it helps me with happiness. It helps me with avoiding negativity. It helps me when like shit's going wrong in my life for whatever reason. It helps me not to sit and stew on it. I kind of just look at it and I feel a little better about it, okay? So if that's something folks want to try, I would suggest it. I mean, those are two very innocuous but powerful compounds, and you can take it relatively regular as long as you respond well to it. Two more things that I've been doing, which one of which we've discussed, but I think it's super useful, is, you know, throughout the last 2 months, on days when I'm not experimenting and days when I'm kind of cycling off of bigger stacks, I've been taking a Uridine stack at 100 milligrams with CDP choline at 100 milligrams 2 hours before bed, and waking up super clear the next day. You know, I was looking through some of my old videos and realized that I had talked about this like a couple years ago and completely forgot about it. Like a strategy to employ when you're cycling off of nootropics so that you wake up feeling good and you sort of have a nootropic effect. Again, both these have pretty long half-lives, especially CDP choline. And so, yeah, my strategy is 2 hours before bed, 100 of Uridine, 100 of CDP choline. And I just wake up with a clearer brain. Like I wake up with the verbal fluency and the brain fluidity as if I had taken like a nootropic stack, as if I had taken a verbal fluency, brain fluidity stack, kind of like the Cortex stack. And it's been super awesome. You know, none of these compounds mess with my sleep. Talking to a lot of people about this that have taken Uridine and CDP choline, there's like a small fraction of people that it does mess with their sleep. Mainly keeps their brain super active when they're trying to go to sleep. So look out for that if that's you, but most of the time people get a good result from that. Last thing, super hack. You know, I talk about this a lot. There's a company that makes a hydration multiplier. Company's called Liquid IV, and it's basically, it's like some lime flavor, little bit of, I think it's cane sugar. It's actual cane sugar, and then 500 milligrams of sodium in a little satchel. I first came across the idea of salting in the morning from Dave Asprey, the Bulletproof guy, to support adrenal function. And for those of you that don't know, I had actual diagnosis of adrenal fatigue, tanked cortisol, tanked aldosterone, started messing with my testosterone some time ago, and then recovered from it. But even after that, I realized to continue to support the adrenals. So like when the adrenals crash, when anything really bad happens, but especially adrenals crash your body, once you heal it and you get adrenal hormones functioning correctly, your energy is regulated, mitochondria is functioning good, you sort of have to keep supporting it. I think it's just a good idea to do that. So I got to tell you, the difference in my energy between waking up and not having 500 milligrams of sodium in that satchel and then doing it is big. It's a big enough difference where I'm like, wow, man, I feel energized. I'm like ready to go. I may or may not take a nootropic stack. If I do, totally awesome. If I don't, I still have a lot of good brain energy. It just gives you a jump start in the day. Okay, so yeah, I mean, really the best way to do this is with sugar and perhaps a flavoring. It just you respond differently in your gut. If you were to take that much sea salt and put it down, it would facilitate the movement of your bowels quickly. You might end up with like diarrhea or something. But somehow in the Liquid IV hydration multiplier, it does not do that. And by the way, we don't work for them. It's just like a product that I'm super like ecstatic about because it helps me to function really well. All right, my friends, that has been the Nootropics 20. I would love to hear if you guys like love this format and you know, think we should keep doing this format. We broke down a lot of really, really cool stuff in here. Whole coffee fruit concentrate powder, increasing BDNF. Who the hell knew? So I hope that this has been super useful. Please comment and let us know if you would like us to continue doing this format. I think it's a new thing, and I was just kind of excited to do something new on the channel anyway. So I hope that makes sense. Remember, guys, sponsors. We are our own sponsors. If you're looking for a pre-made stack that just kicks ass, that gets you motivated, verbally fluent, gets your brain fluid, gets you into the idea of doing work, and also gets you verbally fluent and increases your mood. Buy the Cortex Nootropic stack right now. We made it initially for entrepreneurs. It is an elite level stack, and you can do that at livecortex.com. If you're looking to take your nootropics understanding and usage, looking to induce verbal fluency, motivation, all these things on cue, get the Nootropics Masterclass. It's an hour and 15-minute video course of me teaching you how all that works. It's so information dense. The thing is just sick. You can buy that at livecortex.com. If you need my help on formulating stacks, we have a consulting service, 40-minute call with me, 15 follow-up email correspondences. One of our most popular services. Get that at livecortex.com. And then lastly, if you're a dude and need to raise testosterone, look, I mean, it's been my project. It's been my life to raise testosterone over the course of the last 2 years, and I have succeeded. We now teach it to people in a protocol. We're working with men all around the world, and we are seeing pretty substantial results. So if you're thinking about going on TRT, or if you're having testosterone issues, sex drive issues, masculinity issues, muscle building issues, do not go on TRT. Do the Viking Testosterone Protocol. We will get you some results. You can do all that stuff at livecortex.com. More nootropics and biohacking products over at the website. We just got digital books, everything you need to really take your nootropics usage to the expert level. Do all that at livecortex.com. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll do another one tomorrow if you guys positively respond to this one. And we'll talk to you next time.